in essence, this is two different ways to solve for the same thing. Now, the detriments of this. Welcome to the Retire on Time Q&A podcast. I'm Mike Decker with David Franson here from Kedrick Wealth. As always, text your questions to 913-363-1234. This show is about getting into the nitty-gritty, not the oversimplified advice you've heard hundreds of times. That said, remember, this is just a show. It's not financial advice. Do your research. This is education only. All right. David, what do we got today?
Hey, Mike, I was told to put around 60% of my money into a lifetime annuity, and that would basically be the same as the 4% rule. Tell me, is that true?
So let's break it down. First off, we're assuming the portfolio is based on the rule of 100, which suggests that your age is the amount of assets you would have in bonds or bond funds or bond equivalents.
Okay.
So a 60-year-old, 60% of your assets would or could go into a less risky category. That's not a red flag necessarily. The 4% rule, to understand it by definition, is saying that if stocks average, let's say 3 or 4% year over year, and that your stocks, the S&P, for example, average 7 to 9% year over year, you should be able to take out 4% and be fine. And when you break it down, the portfolio, if you have, let's say, a retiree, it's going to be a little bit less aggressive. You got 60% of assets in bond funds earning that, you're going to get around 6.5% growth.
Okay.
Average rate.
Yeah. Average between those two asset categories.
Yeah, 60% growing at 3-4%.
The bonds.
Really, let's say 4%. And then let's say you got 40% growing at 9%. It's actually 6% is what the portfolio would grow.
Okay.
And so if you take out 4% each year, you've got 2% that your portfolio will advance. What's inflation typically? 2%. So it offsets inflation. It kind of keeps things going ahead. That's how that all came about. So there's a reason for it. People don't just throw out random numbers for no reason. It's that you're going to take out 4% on average for income, 2% your portfolio progresses, and you rinse and repeat every single year. The problem with that is sequence of returns risk. We've forgotten what it's like to really have a significant market crash.
Okay.
Hasn't really happened since 2008 because the COVID crash, that was a global pandemic. Yeah, it was a scary time. The Fed printed money. So it was going to recover. And then 2022, 2023, the market slowly burned because of inflationary risk and so on. And that was predictable, but it wasn't like the 2008 financial crisis.
Okay.
It wasn't like the issues of capital expenditures. That's the infrastructure build out for the .com bubble that didn't just burst and things just went sideways. It wasn't .com companies going bankrupt. It was all of the money that was posed to have profits to these companies, promised money for the infrastructure that then just fell and broke and just a disaster. That was 3 years the markets went down.
Okay.
So the sequence of the returns are a very real thing. That's the problem with the 4% rule. Okay. Now, if you use the 4% rule, let's say $1 million portfolio, you're expecting around $40,000 of income each year. Okay. So let's just assume for a moment that you're going to take $40,000 out each year, and let's just simplify things, $40,000 out for 10 years or 20 years. Now, would you adjust it? Yeah, you'd adjust it over time, but let's just make things really simple, okay?
All right.
$40,000 for 10 years or 20 years, that's the fixed amount for that period of time, okay?
As income. That's 4% of your 600,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, 4% of the $1 million.
Oh, $1 million, sorry.
Yeah,
million,
yeah. So now let's look at this other option. The other option suggests that you take 60% of your assets, put it into a lifetime annuity, okay, at a fixed flat rate. So you're going to get more money up front, but it's never going to increase in value over time, but it's guaranteed for the rest of your life to be paid out. And let's say it's offering around 7%. I'm not quoting a product here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you take flat income, it's going to be a higher rate. If you take lower income, it's going to start at a lower rate, but it could increase over time. So typically, I see people do the flat rate up front, and this is why. 60% of your assets, let's say with a 7% lifetime payout, is going to be $42,000 a year.
All right.
Let's round down and say $40,000.
Okay.
So you just took 60% of your assets, and you've guaranteed that 4% baseline for the rest of your life. Then you take the $40,000, and you put it in the market for more, let's say, aggressive growth. Because the income stream is taking care of your income that you need. So you can be more aggressive, maybe more equities in there because the whole portfolio as a whole, you could you could grow. You don't really need to touch the money. You've got your income coming in.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in a different way.
Right.
What are the benefits and detriments? Well, assuming 9% growth on the 400,000 or the 60-40 split, as we discussed, after 10 years, the 60-40 cash value should be slightly ahead. After 20 years, again, you just never really touch the income. We don't want too many variables in a conversation. The $400,000 would have compounded and should have grown at a greater rate, so you'd actually have more money in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're not touching it; it's just sitting there.
You're just sitting there.
So there's the sequence of returns have kind of
there is no sequence of returns risk because you're not taking money out of an account that's lost money. So is the question you want control? Is the question you want 4%? So, and I don't like the way that all of this is framed because it says you're going to take out 4%. I think a retirement plan should be built around, well, how much do you need for the first couple of years for your travel years? Let's solve for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's solve for kind of when you turn Social Security on, what's that baseline? I think that you should have more complexity or more conversation to the whole equation. But in essence, this is two different ways to solve for the same thing. Now, the detriments of this is if you put money into a fixed income stream for life, the cash value is going to go down that's associated with that income stream faster than the 60-40 or 40-60 split of the 4% rule. What I mean by that is if you die in the first 5 to 10 years, there's probably going to be less in the estate to go to the kids. Probably won't be much, if anything, coming from the annuity. It would have spent down most of the money by that point. And then the leftover 400,000, whatever that grew, is what passes on to the kids. Okay. If you live 15 years or more, because the 400,000 was able to grow in this very simple kind of example, you may have roughly the same, if not, I'd say roughly the same amount of money going to your legacy plan with still a continuation of lifetime income coming in there. See, what people don't realize is with lifetime income streams, which I wrote the book against, I openly admit that I don't necessarily love the strategy. I understand it. I understand when it makes sense. I understand why people don't do it. It's like buying term life insurance. You don't buy it hoping you're going to die. You don't buy lifetime income hoping or expecting yourself you're going to die in the next 10 to 15 years. You're buying it to transfer longevity risk to an insurance company. And if you live to full life expectancy or later, it probably was actually a good deal.
Yeah.
If you buy it and you die sooner, it probably wasn't as good of a deal. The odds are in the insurance company's favor. So if you go down this path, eat healthy, exercise, keep your mental, your mind clear and active and all of that, it's not a bad strategy. It's a different strategy with its own basket of benefits and detriments.
Right.
Now, some of the risks with this is in both situations, you have the market to be concerned about.
Yeah.
So the 400,000 may not actually grow for 10 years. If we're in a flat market cycle, then it ends up being around 400,000 in 10 years. But then you'd argue with the 60-40 split, well, you're taking income. So in a flat market, markets go up, then they go down, then they go up and they go down. You'd probably actually be worse off with the 60-40 split because in the years it went down, you accentuated the losses.
By taking income, you're making the loss worse.
Yeah. So trying to help the 60-40 argument, maybe you don't have 60% of your assets in bond funds. Maybe you use the reservoir or the bear market reserves and have some protection in there to sail through those times. I mean, you have to open up that conversation and say we need to be more dynamic and more strategic about how we're managing those funds in case of market crashes, flat market cycles, and so on. You inherit more responsibility if you want a more dynamic plan. If you want a more predictable plan, you buy the lifetime income annuity. That's 4% of your you're losing out tax strategies, dynamic strategies. I mean, you're losing out on some things, but you're gaining stability. You can't cheat finance. You can't cheat economics, and no one knows the future performance. So you have to pick which way you want to solve it. You can do the 60 lifetime strategy, solve for the 4% baseline, and then take the 4% and pepper in to solve for inflation. You can do a 60, 40, 40, 60 split and have like a reservoir or the bear market reserves. So if the markets go down, you take about 5 years of income and have more responsibility, but you can be more aggressive with how you're managing your money. You can have everything in the market and just hope it works out too. I mean, you can, but they're all different. You can ladder out your income if you want. That's another strategy. Ladder it out so you've got, the first 5 years of guaranteed income laddered out, and then you've got some in reserves that are indexed. You can kind of blend strategies together. You could take dividends. So there's so many ways you can solve income in retirement. This is just one of the ways that you can do it.
And how do we know which one's right for us, or the individual person?
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that? I have found that many financial practices are built around one strategy, and their job is to sell you that singular strategy. It's here's our process. Here's why we believe everyone should do this. Here's why we believe this is what's right for everyone. And do you want it or not? And they're just looking for confirmation bias. If you're willing to believe our sales pitch or our philosophical argument, then you'll be a client. You're a good fit. If you're not, go away. I don't like that strategy. All of them are easy to, in my opinion, easy relative to manage, but you have to ask yourself some tough questions. For example, when we are working with someone in the planning process, we'll always start with the risk analysis.
Yeah, what is that? What's part of it?
It's 60 minutes of looking at different risks.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand which ones will keep you up at night and which ones won't.
Okay.
And everyone's different. I get so many different answers. So for example, I'll say, all right, here's your plan. 1 + 1 = 2. You can retire. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And they go, well, this is fun. I say, yeah, now let's figure out the income component. Does this income satisfy your lifestyle goals? Yes. Do you want to adjust in any way? Yeah, we'd like to travel for the first couple of years. Great. We'll put it into the software. We'll add additional expenses. We're going to travel extra 10K here, extra 30K here, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Get those travel years out of your way.
Yeah.
And once we get the plan massaged out, then we say, all right, this column right here, this is your income from your assets. This is what we're solving. Okay. Here's how much it needs to be. Let's say it's, I don't know, $40,000, and they've got $2 million in there. So we're taking around 2% from your portfolio. That's low risk. Do you want it all in the market? Do you want it all over here? How much of this do you want guaranteed? Well, I mean, this is really how I do it. I say, how much of this income do you want guaranteed? You've got Social Security. Let's say that's guaranteed. At least 80% of it's probably going to stay around, because 80% of it or so is paid by FICA tax the year before. So that's going to keep going in. At least 80% of it. Here's the amount you need from here. How much of that, if any, do you want guaranteed? I'm indifferent on what they say, but I want to know. And they'll say, well, we want about half of it guaranteed. We don't want any of it guaranteed. We want mostly growth, and we'll just take it dynamically, or in their words. We want all of it guaranteed. And then here's the critical question. Why is that?
Okay.
If they can't answer why is that or how come, they don't know what they're saying, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
It means it's an opportunity to give them homework to then go home and really look in the mirror and say, what's going to keep us up at night and what's not going to keep us up at night. If your accounts, and I do this, if your accounts go down 50%, are you concerned? Now, we'll have some assets that are protected over here and things like that. We can do this, but are you going to lose sleep overnight? Some people, and this is the honest reaction, some people, they could not live with themselves in that situation. Other people, yeah, I've been down it. I know it'll recover. No problem at all. Some people, they want to believe that they're one when they're actually the other. And that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Why is that? Why do you want half of it guaranteed? Why is it that you want none of it guaranteed? Well, because I want enough in the reservoir. And I know, like, I'm comfortable with CDs. I'm comfortable with treasuries. And I read your book. I'm fine with these strategies. I just want to have more for growth and more flexibility, more for play. And so if we can get like a 5-year reservoir figured out, I can sleep with that. Okay, I'm good with that. It's the questioning. And it's not an interrogation. It's the questioning. It's just trying to find out what is right for the person. And here's a more important part. If they're married, it's making sure both spouses answer.
Okay.
I don't know. He handles it is not a good answer.
You're not going to let that fly. You're going to make them answer.
Because she's going to end up with the plan, not him. women live longer than men,
Yeah.
typically. And if
Right.
she doesn't know what's going on, then we need to pump the brakes and have more conversations about how the plan is working. You cannot delegate to someone else all of your financial responsibility, because at some point you'll probably be the one that's financially responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say there's a lot of ways to solve it. What is right for you? It's about that risk analysis. It's
Okay.
understanding, is this, let 60% of your assets take care of all of the income that you need? Or is it, let's do 5-year reservoirs? Is it, let's ladder out for 5 years and then have a secondary reservoir that you can turn on whenever you want? Is it, there's so many ways it could be done.
Okay.
But what's the system, and will you be able to sleep well at night if the worst should happen and you still remember the system? That's the key here.
Mm-hmm.
So did we answer the question?
I think so. The answer is that there's a lot of different ways to solve, not just 60-40, not just lifetime income from an annuity. If one of those two works for you, then great, but there are also other options.
Yeah.
Can you answer the question, well, why? Why do you want the lifetime annuity?
And it's okay that you don't know.
Yeah.
I can't, you don't need to work with a financial advisor and be smart. You just need to be honest and feel like you're in a space that you can be honest and authentic. And I don't mean like that safe space, I don't want my feelings to get hurt crap. Like, no, this is money.
Yeah.
Money doesn't have feelings.
Yeah.
But you're going to feel something based on what your money does.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make sure we tell your money what you really want it to do. Thanks for watching this show. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast and or on YouTube. Best place is YouTube for the best quality content. As always, text your questions to 913-363-1234 so we can feature them on the show. And go to retireontime.com to get access to the book, the workbook, the checklists, the planning calculators, and all the different tools we have available, and join a workshop where I'm actually putting together plans in real time live while I answer your questions. All of that and more found on retireontime.com. We'll see you in the next show.